Now,
Yes.
you have a beautiful ancestral practice. And how do you personally apply the ancient wisdom and ancestral medicine that you've learned in your own life? So, is there rituals that you do? How do you apply all that?
I really like to listen. Like I like to practice listening, and that is through my dream time. That's like a huge piece and part of my ancestors coming through with messages, and they often come through in animal medicine. So I'll dream of eagle feathers or orcas or moose. Like they'll come through very particularly like that. My grandfather comes in a moose now, so I get to know my ancestors in just different ways, and then I speak to them every day. I do a prayer, usually in the shower in the morning, because the water is a conduit for that connection for me for some reason. And they will guide me in that way. So I think it's important that we just find our own way to speak to them, but they come in a very particular frequency, I guess. Like it feels like a rush of wisdom, or it feels like a warmth or a fire that's before me. And I can feel that take over me. That's how I know the ancestors are here. And I think everybody has that way. If you have access to that, if you deepen into that. But journeying is another way of doing like a guided journey. It just opens that portal to the ancestor. So it's a way that I love to offer to my clients and my community to help them connect as well.
So, do you record your own guided journey and listen to your own voice guiding you through that?
It's usually when I'm doing it with other people, because I do a lot of journeys for my circles and all of those. And that's usually, I get tons of information and downloads when I'm doing that. So I almost have to speak it out loud, and be in the vibration. And then it sort of it comes to me in that way. That's my favorite way of doing it. I probably could listen to my own voice.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in one of your circles. It's absolutely spectacular. I love it. And it's like it's transcendent. It feels very
Mm-hmm.
transcendent. Um, when you say that everybody has access, so if somebody, in any culture, right, we all have ancestors, right? So how would you encourage people who are listening today that might be interested in starting with their own practice? Like how would they go about that?
Well, for the first thing that I wanted to say is I know that there's folks out there that don't want to connect to their ancestors because they're like, well, I didn't like my grandpa or I didn't like my aunt, like they just have this, or they have a really wounded relationship with their family and with their ancestors. So I think we have to start with a lot of compassion, first and foremost, for our relationship with them, and know that there's so much healing available, even if you did have these wounded relationships. And also know that there are ancestors in spirit that may not be your direct relatives, but they show up as ancestral guides. And I just think that that's a really important vehicle for people if they don't have that healed relationship with their family members, or they don't feel a connection in that way. There's also a lot of trauma that keeps us from our ancestors, like whether there was attempted genocide, or whether there was, or you're adopted, or you've had to move across countries and you feel a lot of trauma that's there. So I really like to start with some healing and gentleness and compassion for whatever you've gone through in those family lines, because I think starting from that point is going to be really important for your sacred connection in that way. I also love to just have people, if they have living ancestors, go have a cup of tea and ask about the stories. As Indigenous people, we're storytellers. We're an oral tradition. We never even wrote things down. We passed along our information through stories. So I think story medicine is just so vital. And if you have the blessing that you have ancestors alive, ask them all the stories to tell you those things. So there's a few ways that you can go about, but I think primarily what I see in my communities is the disconnect comes from some trauma that needs to be healed first. And once we
Mm-hmm.
do some compassion healing, the connection just opens up and the ancestors flow through.
Okay, if you like this podcast and you want to see more, just click over here and you'll get to see more clips from this interview. If you just want to listen, well, if you click there, you'll listen to the entire interview available to you on any one of your favorite podcast channels.